Shalom from Berlin, Germany. Behind me is the center of Berlin, the western part of it. And apart from the fact that I'm here for a specific reason, which I will probably talk about later on, I just wanted to give a few words, a few of my thoughts regarding the speech that we just heard from Donald Trump at the UN. And I think that what President Trump just did, he clearly embarrassed a lot of UN delegates over there by exposing hypocrisy and double standard over there. For those who rush to blame the Trump administration for somehow dividing Israel and, standing for the Palestinians and all of that, this is the first president that stands before the UN General Assembly and saying not even a single word about the Palestinian issue. It's a non-issue right now. In fact, he did talk about Israel, but he talked about Israel with the perspective of how Iran vows to destroy Israel. He talked about Israel when it comes to Hezbollah, when it comes to the terrorist organization over there. That's what he talked about when he mentioned Israel. He mentioned the fact that countries needs to defend themselves. He mentioned the fact that countries needs to love themselves as far as be patriotic and not move towards globalization. But actually, he just marked the path for, let's go back to value our national identity. In fact, he made a very clear and strong warning to the North Koreans that if they do not stop, America can and will probably have no choice but destroy North Korea. Let me make it very clear. I don't think it will be done, but I think that it has to be said, and it has to be said in the most clearest way. He also marked Iran in the same line of rogue regimes that are violating not only human rights and not only oppressing their own people, but are actually spreading terror all over the world. He actually admitted that the Iran deal is an embarrassment to the United States of America. He went on and said that he did not say the last word on it. In other words, he implied that there's a chance he might withdraw from that agreement. Basically, what we saw here is an unbelievable, very, very, I would say, courageous and brave speech, which, by the way, the CNN commentators said it wasn't a speech, it was a sermon. And it's funny because they were mocking him. But in reality, he literally, made clear that everybody understand that in Romans 13, it says that a country has the duty to defend itself and its people from evildoers. And he didn't quote Romans, but that's what he said. He said, we have the duty to defend ourselves. We have the duty to stop evil and not just sit and do nothing. All it takes for evil to triumph is for good people to sit and do nothing. That's what he said to these people. And then, of course, he ended up the speech with the fact that God Almighty is the one that needs to guide all of us. And may God bless the nations of the world, and may God bless the United States. He did not forget to mention God at the end of his speech as this ultimate sovereignty that we need to rely on and look forward to. I want to tell you something. Again, I'm not an American. I never voted for Trump. I'm not a great admirer of the personality of this man. But there is no doubt in my mind that he's the right man in the United States White House right now at this critical moment. And I can see how and why the establishment cannot take it anymore. The establishment from the very beginning was not on his side. All the establishment, when he talks about the banks, when he talks about the intelligence, when he talks about the military, they were not on his side to begin with. In fact, Julian Assange, the WikiLeaks leader, just prior to the elections in the US, he said Trump cannot be president because he will not be permitted. And we'll talk more about it in the future, but I'm just saying it is true. He was not permitted by the establishment. And then Assange said, well, the only establishment I know is the evangelical establishment, if I can even call it establishment, that really supports him. And the evangelicals in America made it possible for Trump to be the president, or else America right now would be the leading force for globalization and for the complete destruction of America. Now, America received, as I perceive it, a last chance, but also I believe the mantle of evil, the mantle of the Babylonian spirit is departing all the way towards Europe right now. And this is why I'm here, by the way, behind me. I'm preparing the message for the conference in Minnesota regarding Europe being closer to the rise of the Antichrist. And I cannot even start to tell you how much evil, how much darkness, how much complete apathy we have here on one side, and on the other hand, confusion, despair, and it's unbelievable. So what I'm trying to say is that what I just watched on TV was an amazing, brave, and brilliant, I believe, a message from the leader of the free world right now to the world. He sent a clear message: I'm not my predecessor. I am not someone who is out there to promote globalism. My promises to my voters are still my guidelines, and I will do whatever it takes to move forward with it. He pledged hundreds of billions of dollars to restore the U.S. Military force, and he said, we're ready to help, but we need to help with some common sense. With the money that takes to resettle a refugee in America, we can actually resettle 10 refugees in a neighboring countries to that conflict. So why do we insist on bringing them to America or to Europe or to any other place and not keeping them in the region in a safer place, but we can actually help with that same money many more people? It's a voice of reason. It's a voice of clarity. It's a voice of understanding the situation, but it's also a bold voice of, I would say, brave ideology, which you cannot find anymore around the world. Let me tell you that the establishment right now is furious. They truly expected from Donald Trump at the UN to be a little bit more, in a way, presidential, and somehow show the world a softer approach. Excuse me for the lighting. Softer approach of himself. And he did not come to play games. He said, guys, I'm the same Donald Trump in the White House as I'm here. And you're in my city right now, in New York City. And this is what I think about this organization. And this is what I think about what's going on around the world. Now, you can just put your head and just put it in the sand and ignore what's going on around the world. Or you can understand that there are so many difficult issues right now around the world which you cannot escape from. He even exposed the hypocrisy of the UN Human Rights Council that is actually comprised of countries that are violating human rights. And of course, their obsession is, of course, as the Security Council, is always against Israel. But the ambassador, Haley, as well as Donald Trump, they made it very clear that the UN Security Council is no longer going to put Israel always on the spot and always, in such obsession, vote against Israel all the time. These days are over. The days that Israel is just a game in the hands of the brutal regimes around that are members of the UN, therefore they use their power, these days are over. So I just want to congratulate President Trump for a brilliant speech. I can't wait for Netanyahu to deliver his speech. Let me guess that it's not going to be anything different than this one. He's always been there exposing the hypocrisy of the UN. He's always been there telling them the truth right up their faces. And he will probably do the same, feeling that backwind from the Trump administration this time. But even throughout the cold Obama, very, very, I would say, almost hostile administration, Netanyahu never wavered, and he was there. He was there to declare the truth to their face, right there in the UN General Assembly. Amazing things are going on around the world. I'm going to update you a little bit more about the situation in the Middle East, how we see the 100,000 Russian soldiers are right now in Belarus, basically training to imitate a Russian invasion into Western Europe. It's called Zapad. Zapad is West. In other words, we're going to the West. Zapad 2017. But I believe, I really believe that what is actually going on there, as much as what is going on with Northern Europe, is a smokescreen to what is really going on in the Middle East. We've been noticing over the last maybe week or 10 days an unprecedented movement of Russian cargo planes, the Antonov and the Ilyushin, and these are capable of carrying 400 soldiers each. And they've been flying back and forth. And obviously, they're not taking that many soldiers out because Russia never had that soldiers out. If anything, they're accumulating hundreds, if not thousands, of Russian soldiers in Syria. Wow, interesting, isn't it? Turkey would be reported that is rolling tanks into Syria. Why? Because of the fear that the Kurds will declare statehood and independence on the 25th. They have a referendum. Everybody, stop talking about the 23rd. Stop talking about all of that. The 25th is the day that both Iran and Syria and Iraq and, of course, Turkey are very much against. The brave Kurdish people are going to have a referendum that basically says we are voting for a statehood. And you know what? It's interesting. The world, the hypocrite world, will die for the rights of the Palestinians, which are a nation that never really existed, but they will do nothing to the historical nation of the Kurds there that has been fighting for so long for its independence, and nobody cares about it. Why? Because when you support the Palestinian issue, you're obviously against Israel. When you support the Kurdish issue, you're actually on the Israeli side, because Israel actually sees the Kurds as allies. I just saw pictures from huge rallies of the Kurds, and amongst the thousands of Kurdish flags, there were Israeli flags. They identify with us more than they identify with Muslims around their own region. They know that we are on their side. Our own generals are not even claiming that the PKK is a terrorist organization. Not at all. Unbelievable things are happening. Again, I'm so excited. I'm not giving this world days or hours, but we live in amazing, amazing times. And I am excited because I know where I'm going. I am excited because I know the promise that my Savior gave us. I am excited because we literally live through the days of Ezekiel, through the days of Isaiah, through the days of the Olivet discourse in Matthew 24 and Luke 21. We live in amazing, amazing times and days. You've got to be serious with your walking with the Lord. You've got to get your act together. You've got to somehow make sure that in these last days, you're not wasting your time on idle things, on things that don't matter. You know, these things are going to collapse. All that can be shaken will be shaken, and only the things of God will remain standing. So this is not just a warning, but this is also a wake-up call, and hopefully you will understand that before it's too late, there is still hope. And the hope is that we have a God that understands what we go through. And therefore, He sent Jesus to be a person, a man that lived amongst us. We have a high priest that understands all of what we go through. Unlike the other high priest that separated themselves, always alienated himself from the rest of the people, Jesus lived among the people. And so we have someone who knows what we go through. We have someone who promised to give us the Holy Spirit until he comes to take us. Jesus, by the way, never prayed that God will take us out of this world. In fact, he said in John 17, Father, I do not ask you, nor I pray that you will take them out of this world. No, he never said that. He said, I pray that you will keep them from evil while they're in this world. And when the moment will come, he will be here to take us. He will meet us in the air and we'll go to be with him in the clouds. But until then, it's not the taking us, it's the keeping us from the evil. And then, of course, he will come and take us away from the wrath of God upon this world. So my point is, we have great promise. We have a great promise now to be protected from the evil with Jesus interceding for us. And later on, in the near future, around the corner, to be out of this world where everything really goes south. So, I just want to encourage all of you. These are amazing times. This is an unbelievable time period to live. You should thank God every day that you're alive now and not in the medieval days and not in the dark eras. You live in times where we see, like no other time before, God in action. We see amazing things all over the world, the global catastrophes that are only going to get more and more intense. We see wars and rumors of wars, nation against nation, people against people, earthquakes, pestilences. We see famines. We see amazing things. And then we see and we feel that they are just like Jesus said, birth pangs that the creation is going through right now. These are the signs we need to not look for, but we need to admit that they're all around us. You see, we don't need to look for something that we cannot see. We see those signs. There's no way we need computers and an analyst, we need a space agency. We have it all around us. All we need to do is to acknowledge that it's there, that it's all around us. And all we need to do is to trust the Lord, that he is faithful to complete that which he had started. So I thank you again from the heart of Berlin, Germany. I'm going back home tomorrow to celebrate a Feast of Trumpets with my family. I know that the Jewish people are calling it Rosh Hashanah, the head of the year. But biblically, it's not the head of the year. Biblically, it's the first day of the 7th month, not of the first month. The first month in the Bible is the day of the Exodus from Egypt. You can go into Leviticus 23 and read it. That is the time God marked the calendar, the beginning of the calendar of the way he conducts things. I'm going to post in a few hours a short portion of my message on God's calendar with a short commentary on the Feast of Trumpets. You really want to watch and read it, and it's amazing because I believe we live in the days of the Feast of Trumpets already, and you will find out why when you watch it. In fact, I explain what I believe the two trumpets that Leviticus mentions are all about. What are they symbolizing? So we're approaching one more Feast of Trumpets. We're approaching another sign or another time that, which is what I call a milestone, and we're really, truly approaching the end. Let us look up and lift up our eyes and wait for our redemption, which is indeed drawing near. Thank you. And God bless you from the heart of Europe. And I'll keep you updated once I get to Israel tomorrow. Thank you again. God bless you. Shalom. Bye-bye.
you.